I apologise for the kind of sea-like noise that you always get when I record here. It's because I live on a main road, and obviously now COVID is gradually recovering. We're getting normal traffic out there again, so there's this constant wishy-washy thing going on. So I am going to be working on this painting today. Now this is the painting that I did yesterday. Hopefully you can see that. If I put it there, I'll probably get the best. And I really enjoyed the contrast between the colours in here to the colours sort of being much paler on the outside. So I thought I would use that as inspiration colour-wise, palette-wise, for what I've got going on here. You can see I've got quite a similar colour going on the outside just as a starting point. And I had a mess around. I found one of these like decorating tool, like I think it's for plastering, and I sort of did this just to see what pattern it would make, which was quite cool. So I'm going to prop this picture up near me just so as I've got some colour references. As you can see, I have sort of drawn out, this is my moon, and this is my main figure, and I've used the same kind of figure as I used for my Mother Nature as a, can you see, as a guidance for that. And then I've added a couple of very sketchily other people dancing in different positions so it fills up the moon, hopefully. So what I know is I want the colour to be in my figures and not so much in here. This is going to be more moon and white and mysterious. Now I've painted out my circle using golden acrylic fluid titanium white. It's gorgeous paint because it is exactly what it says. It's really fluid, and you get a long line before it runs out because it is so fluid, whereas if you paint with normal thick paint, so I'm using these for my sort of main painting, but if I tried to draw a long line in that, it would be really quite hard. So the fluids are lovely, and I will be doing more fluid work as I build up the layers, because the fluids are just brilliant for going over the top and adding some depth to it without ruining the layers underneath. They just add more. So using one of my spatulas, I'm going to just have a go. Hi Jana, hi Nadine, hi Denise. Sorry, your Wi-Fi is playing up, Shaz, you'll have to get it on replay. If you feel able to share it out anywhere, that would be lovely, just to see if we can pick up some conversation. And what I'm going to do at this point, I'm very randomly using the spongy tool to dip in and out of the choice of colours that I've got. There's no real rhyme or reason to where I'm putting them, but I'm just going to be starting to fill out my shape. This is a slightly different way to how I've done previous paintings, and I thought you might like to watch another option. So what you could do if you were working on something like this, and sometimes you know, figures aren't necessarily the easiest thing to just freehand, is look up some clip art, silhouette figures. You don't have to, and just use the guidelines of the shape of the outline to simplify it as much as possible. So this is my second layer, and I might need to change that shape afterwards, but at the moment I'm just trying to get some colour in so that it stands out as different, then I can get a feel for it. And I don't tend to use white at this time, only the outline, or black. That comes in later. So this bit is just colour. And it's just starting to help pick out my shape so I can and I'm not sure that's right yet, but that's okay. I'm going to do the same in my other little shapes. You don't have to have a sponge, you could do it with a brush. I did quite a lot of my piece yesterday with my fingers, which I will probably come to as I go on, but at the moment, because I'm not being perfect at all, I'm just trying to get a feel for what these shapes, if they work. I'm doing sort of random lives at the moment because I have a very lovely full family quota here, and my art room doubles up as a guest bedroom for my eldest, who doesn't visit that often, but obviously it's been so long. So he's staying with us for a little while, which is really nice. But it means that my nights and my evenings are compromised because he wants to be in his room. So for this one, sometimes I just paint and see what comes, and sometimes I just have an idea of, I want to do, like this one, I wanted to do moon dancing, so I obviously had the reference picture of my this picture here. I'm going to use a bit of red, so I knew I could make that work. Now I really like, what I like about this style of painting that I've been doing for quite a while is the blended, that there's no brush marks, there's no, it really does look sort of smooth and polished, and that's achieved by using this smushy tool and or fingers, water and so on. They can use fingers to make patterns like such. That may or may not work. You know, these things don't have to stay, but we're just having a little play at the moment with to get some interest into our shapes and some colour. Hi Anna, how you doing? A bit of an impromptu, but I was in the mood. This one's not showing up as much, so let's get some red in there. You have to come round, Anna. Have a go. And I think I took out that arm in the end, so we'll have to go over that in a minute. Otherwise she's got Edward Scissorhands going on. Right, so once we've got a very, very basic, some colours going on, I can start using my white. If you do invest in these paints, I've been buying mine at a company called Lawrence. If you put in Lawrence, the rest will come up art. These are on discount at the moment and they're quite good prices, but I totally recommend buying a massive pouch of white because you get through a lot. So this is the thick stuff, not the fluid stuff, so I use both. So now I can mix, I use the sponge again to now lighten up. We're now going in with some white around it. So I'm starting to and that might not stay white all the way around because I'll probably add some black to some areas, but for now I'm going to be using a lot of the green, the sort of turquoisey colour, and the pale purple, keeping it pale. And this is subject to change. I could add some pale blue in there as well because we are talking the moon here. But I hope you can see from this sponge, it's just the best blending tool ever. And I can just spray some water on it if I wanted to sort of tone it down a little bit. So again, I'm by no means going to be leaving this plain, but it's just starting to help pick out my shapes, which will then inform the next decisions. One of the hardest things about doing a live doing this is one, getting the camera kind of close enough. I tried to get it up high so that you can see more of it and less of me. But it also doesn't allow me much time to sort of sit back. I have to, when I do a painting, I get up a lot and look at it from a distance to inform me. It's good to like just get up, stretch your legs, go and make a drink, come back and look at it afresh. That's a good tip because you see things that you don't see when it's all on top of you. That's another reason you can obviously paint flat if that's more comfortable for you, but I would, especially if you're doing things in proportion like faces and figures, is hold it up regularly, because what looks okay flat doesn't look okay. It suddenly changes perspective. So definitely hold it up. You don't have to have an easel. I have literally got a nail in the wall here, and I've just hung the canvas on the nail and painted it directly on the wall. Just need to sort of put some protective stuff behind it because you do get a lot of drips with this style. But my floor has been donated to the art world. I've given up. It is dripped. Hi Karen. It's been a while. Hi Reese, how you doing? This is my impromptu Monday live because I was in the mood and I was at a place where it was fine to share. It wasn't going to be too horrendously boring. I don't find any of it boring, but I'm doing it. I don't know how I'd feel watching it. I feel like that about sports. Don't know if you guys like watching sports. See, I don't mind doing it. Well, I do, but I'd much rather be playing tennis than watching tennis, for example. So here we have a pretty good start. The shape is formed ish. I'm probably going to need a lot of touching up to get a decent circle. don't want, so that's going to have to go. Got rid of Edward Scissorhands hand. There. Thank you, Karen. I'm really enjoying it. It's been very fun, and it's looking better and better as I get more added to the collection of similar stuff. And as you know, I now have uploaded all of these images. I've had some good captures of my previous, like my first set of the collection, and so that means really decent photographs, quality photographs taken, so that they will blow up fine. Not literally, just. And I have found some companies that will produce things as exciting as duvet covers with my artwork on, which is just so cool. But you can also get prints fairly reasonably, and you can get things like mobile phones with it on, and all sorts. It's very exciting, and I've managed to find two companies. So one lot's on Etsy via a company that will, I think they will actually dish out to the US as well, but I found another company in the US. So there's a company for the UK anyway, and for the US, so just to help with, especially for people that want prints, to help with the cost of shipping. It obviously will be a lot cheaper to buy from the UK. Right, so I'm not particularly liking that shape, so all I do, and this is the fabulousness of acrylic, is that even white will go straight over it. There you go, look at that. I don't know what your favourite image is of mine. I keep changing, and they do seem to change as I do them. But in terms of sales, it's The Medicine Man keeps selling. Okay. Yeah, mine are on Etsy, Karen, but I don't make them. They've been uploaded to a company, so you can see the prices. They're not terrible, and they're different sizes. There's a thing called bars written on it, which seems to be a bit confusing for people, and that basically refers to the thickness of the canvas. So you can get thin, and most of my originals are on thin canvas. So can you see the edge? But there is much bigger, thicker, like double that canvas, which I have got. My tribal one is in that, but that's the point in the. So I'm just going back in with this fluid white, and you can see I get a really consistent fluid line with the fluid paint as opposed to the thick acrylic. So neatening up our new line. Now I use this fluid to blend and make wisps, sort of the ethereal feel of some of my pictures, because it is so fluid and dilutable, watery. and it doesn't take away the colours underneath, it just gives it that lovely, I don't know, cloudy feel, I suppose is the word. So again, just slowly trying to neaten up the shape to see if I'm happy with it. If I'm not, I shall do the same. Just go in with that foam brush and change it again. And I want to get rid of the lines. I don't want it to look like I've altered it. And of course, this isn't an accurate figure, so it's just a question of looking at it by eye to see if you're happy with it. Another nature thing. I really like going into the light, and if I get a duvet colour, it will be that one. But she's starting to take shape here. So these figures weren't quite so firmed up because I didn't have a reference. I just kind of winged it. And I often take quite a while then trying to neaten it up a bit. And that might involve an eye. I don't know. I'm not too worried about hands. Hands are a pain. Not sure about this leg at all. I'm not sure about the head at all. So let's Hi Ruth. An impromptu, but it's because I'm not able to do one tonight because I have my eldest down and he's in my room, in my craft room. My craft room. So that figure is looking altogether much more satisfying than that one. Well, that's okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of that eye because that hasn't helped at all. And I have to think, so what I'm going to do, this is what you do when it's not working. You say, off with the head, and then I will put in a new head. It's pretty brutal. Hi Donna. So I let that dry a bit before I get excited about I don't know about that leg either. See, that head looks quite good. Oh dear. I might have to remove that. Leg as well. Let's get rid of the leg. This is keeping it real, guys. This happens many times in my paintings. It's okay. So, okay, just let that dry. Sort her out in a minute. So, that's looking quite good. So what I'm going to do while that is just drying off a little bit, these are these wonderful fluids, and I cannot tell you they are not a bargain. This was about £60 for these little beautiful babies, but oh boy are they babies. They just work in the most amazing way. So what I'm going to do is, there's this beautiful colour called Nickel Azo Gold, and I'd actually bought this separately because I'd seen it on some painting, and it was just, I'm going to show you this up very close if I can. Can you see the sort of coppery tint in it? Hang on. That's this orangey gold, and you have to be close to it to appreciate it, really, in honesty. But I'm going to just, you put the tiniest amount, because it goes such a long way, on my finger, and you just start getting this gorgeous goldy coppery colour. It's translucent because it's what these fluids, so you don't lose the colours underneath. And I dip my finger in water to help it spread a bit. And it's just, it's too exciting. Who gets that excited about paint? I don't know. Crazy town. So I've got some really nice golds going on. So I need to work out what I'm going to do around the edge. And that's going to be a bit trial and error-y. So I've got some dark blue of the same stuff. And again, because these come in nozzles, you can get some drips going, which is quite cool. Do the same the other side. Just gently squeeze it. I'll say this stuff is gold dust because it's not cheap. Let's see. Sometimes I think pictures really benefit from a dark edge. Let some runs go. Hi Tina. Yeah, sorry Donna, no notice on it. I just can't do the lives at the moment in the evening because I've got family down and they're all in the room and it's very inconvenient. Now, I'm really enjoying the drips. But hey, I can always add more. Look what happens when I spray some mist on it. Oh. Like that a lot. And I'm going to use that goldy stuff just in the wet area to bring in some streaks of colour. I'm going to go in with some red as well. I like to try to balance the picture up with little flecks of the colours that I've got going on, but I don't want it to overtake from the main. So it can always be knocked back a bit if it becomes too much. Yeah. So if you guys missed the beginning, you really saw the sketchiness of the start, and I talked about using clip art to get very basic random figures. This isn't fine art, this is a very simplified body, and you can certainly use clip art to be a starting point for shapes if you've got an idea in your head, if nothing is coming to you on your pictures. Now sometimes I've just painted and shapes come out, and that's really cool too, I really like that. And then other times I have a very clear idea in my head of what I want to do, so even though I sort of haven't got a clear idea of how it's going to finish and look, but I have a concept, that's the word, that I want to do. So that's my starting point, and then I might research and clip arty silhouette shapes that will just help me get off the ground. And I might not want all of that in that actual moon. But that's okay for now. The white is amazing for dripping too. Look at this. Now I've let this go. Hang on, I need to give a shake up. You just couldn't do this with the thick paint. You'd have to water it down a lot, which doesn't mean it's not impossible. But they start bringing out the contrast quite well, I think, and that's all sort of spreading in the water. I quite like that effect. So we'll go with that for now. I'm going to try and oh, thank you, Kevin. I'm going to try and resurrect this shape. What I need is 2 seconds, bear with me, some tissue. So just this is just normal dry tissue. And now we know what we can do with the, that's absolutely fine. Just don't want to mix more. It's quite a strong blue. I don't want to put my head, mix it in with a strong blue, otherwise it would be quite hard to. She's gone, she's almost gone. We could just lose her. But I think for balance sake it needs something there. These sponges are amazing. They are from, this is from Amazon. They do them in the range, etc. But from Amazon you get a really big pack. It's about £10. But this is the small size. They go up, if you're a furniture painter for example, they go up to a size like that. Be brilliant for blending, absolutely brilliant. I use this more than a paintbrush. So let's mess around with this head. Hi Jennifer, how you doing? Now, as much as it would be easy just to lose this head altogether, I think she needs a head. I think we need a person here. So I've got to decide on how to... Now this is my really simple head formula. Chin, okay? Straight up. We're going to completely ignore mouth. Little triangle for nose. Straight up again. That's better than it was. Better than it was. Okay, so then play around with this. That's good. So if you're going to have a go at this, one of the things you need to think about when you're is that balance in the picture. If I had them both down there, I think it would look right, but threes is often quite a common number in pictures. Seems to. But also what I've already talked about is getting the colour balance. So if you feel like there's too much of one colour going on one side, you need to introduce a bit of that colour to the other side. So you need to sort of step back from it and think, okay, what's that missing? What does it need to balance it? So it's contrast as well. So this bright red right next to this really strong blue, because they're primary colours, they look really nice next to each other. So it's just having a little bit of sort of basic colour theory of the complementary colours, but also if you haven't got that, I think you can look at it and decide what colour would look really nice next to it, would bring it out. So I find that as you've seen, I've started to put white around it all just to find the shapes, but I'm going to add black, because black and white is obviously a really cool contrast in itself. I think she looks better without her leg. So we're going to stick to no leg. Hi Kerry, how you doing? Have you done any more? Has your paints arrived since? Now Kerry had a one-to-one with me. She lives locally. And I think she surprised herself. She came out with a lovely elephant painting. Some of you might have seen it on our group. And of course, if you are local, you can come and have a one-to-one with me. It was fun. I only had to snatch the paintbrush out of her hand half a dozen times. So, move away from the painting. No, I didn't. I resisted. So that needs a little bit. Her arm's looking a bit thin. Starting to look cool. Now I could do, don't know if I need to, but we'll try it, and then I can move out. This is what I've got on my Mother Nature. So, just an extra line. Not bad. The sponges, you've got some that they are fab. Can you see? Same recipe for the face shape. Straight, Little triangle for the nose, straight and curved. Like, practice doing that is good enough as a face. You can see it's a face without it being a work of art, and it is just a shape. Okay. So now I'm going to show you the black. So even though you'd think you'd need a big pouch of black as well as a white, you don't obviously you don't use as much black as you do white because black is so strong. So I put a tiny bit of black out. And I think what's a really nice thing to do is not necessarily make the black a pure black, so to mix it with, say, what we're going to do is I'm going to put some black here and I'm going to mix it with some quite bright blue, so it'll be a blue black. And I'm not doing this great. I'm literally dabbing the sponge into the blue and dabbing it into the black. So and if it's not black enough, I can go back in. We can have gradients of that black. And just having that black next to really white line and the circle of the moon just helps really pop out. The moon, can you see? Makes quite a difference. You'll have to come round, Kerry. I'll motivate you. And already that moon is really lifting. Now if I was to put the black blue all the way around, it wouldn't work. You don't want solid, it's the gradients that help. So I'm going to make this area, see the power of this sponge. Is pretty. And I might put more drips down. You know, I'm not finished with drips. It's all trial and error. But I can see that's given that a real boost. The other thing I use is my mister, and I regularly spray my palette to keep the paint fresh because acrylics dry quickly. So especially when it's hot. Now I've got to gradient that out because I'm not going to do it dark to the very edge, because there's going to be other things going on in the sky. It's not just this moon, but I've got to gradient out the black line that I've done. I might even go over it with a black line, but this would be my first, if it doesn't need it, just smoothing it out. It's quite effective. This strip here looks a bit redundant. Smush it out. I need more smashing out because it's quite strong. It's okay. The more layers that you put on, don't be stingy with the paint, the more polished the picture looks. You haven't got the sort of white grain of the canvas showing through. Okay, I'm quite liking her now. I'm going back in with my translucent white to bolden up the contrast. And it's this contrast that really just brings the painting into its own. Don't be afraid of black. Black is your friend, especially next to white. I try not to go, I don't really want any completely solid colours. It's just, I don't like that look so much myself. So I use my finger in circles, creates a good cloudy effect and helps that blend in. So those of you that sort of go, goodness, I'm knocking these out, I'm literally spending all day on them. They're not quick and they involve lots of playing and taking things away and putting things back in. I'm lucky enough that this is part of my job and that I can put aside days of the week to do this. Black's always been your friend. We were discussing the other day, me and Georgia, about why our house is so multicoloured. Some people like really white houses. And then we were running through the rooms and what colours we've got in each room. So my bedroom is a really dark blue, vintagey blue, but it's bold. Sorry, it's my neighbour arriving home. My hall is bright red. Oh, it was the postman. My hall is bright red. My creative room has a bright orange wall, and my lounge has purple, as like Cadbury's purple as its feature wall. Oh, and the bathroom is cerise pink and black. So yeah, a bit of a train wreck for the colours. Hi Sharon. I'm sorry this was a bit impromptu, not advertised. I hadn't completely decided if I was going to have time to do it. So she's starting to take shape, and I try to just add a whole mix of the colours that I'm using in little areas so that they look blended. But then once I've got that sort of as a background, that's when I then go into it with pattern. So I then might use, again, choosing the colour that will contrast. So on my purple, I've got now a turquoise. So I just use the brush to make some marks, and that's probably very difficult to see on the camera. But this is when I start doing, it's almost like the decoration period. And it's the details, it's when you look at a painting afterwards, there's just everywhere you go something else to see. So I don't do it all with the paintbrush, but I'm constantly trying to put the contrast in where it will show on top of another colour. And because these ladies are quite small, I'm only using sort of these little dots and so on, but I've used triangle sponges and square sponges and sort of much bigger shapes to add this element to bigger pictures. But it's quite effective, and it's really not tricky. And sometimes if you actually put the brush into two colours at the same time, you get a kind of double wash, double whammy of it. I think I've just created myself a new language. So I'm going to use that now. And I'm just going to create some, just with the same brush. And that's got two colours in. And I can use a bigger brush. I've done that too, depending on the size of the picture really, but that works quite well. I quite like the effect that gives. Okay, so I'm feeling that this moon needs a bit of black in it as well. And seeing as we've got dark under here, we're going to have some dark here. So at the moment I've got just neat black on my brush. And this is what I mean about non-fluid. I have actually got black in the fluid. Can you see I've started off really strong and it's got weaker and weaker pretty quickly, which it doesn't with the fluids. I just added some water and I'm going to add a bit of turquoise and a bit of blue in with that black while it's still wet. Keep going in with water because I want that black to spread out. I don't want it to be a harsh line. Okay, and now it's starting to spread. I'll use my finger. And I'm not going to take away the white line. I should probably put that back in because I'll have the black as the contrast next to it. At the moment I just want to get this black in. So we're following some kind of rules of where the light's coming from, even though the light is the moon. In that we've got dark underneath and then we've got dark under her too there, so I might have to do some dark here and some dark here. Okay, but again gradient, not having any sort of specific black line or start or ending place. I want it to just blend in. Smushing is the technical term, you remembered. So here's my black line, blue and a bit of turquoise just to taper down the amount of black. Doesn't have to be a strong black. This is my neat black, although really I should be using the fluid. I'm just seeing if it looks better with a bit of strength on it. Maybe it does. Yeah. So now I've smudged out, I'm going back in to put a stronger black line in, I'll wash my brush and go back in with the white, put the white next to it, and then you'll see they both utterly help each other to pop. And sometimes, because it's quite hard to get a steady hand on this, you need to go in and keep redoing it till you get it right. Okay, so that white's all right, but now it needs a little bit of black. This is what I mean about just tidying it up. It takes time, but then it's so worth it when you've done it. So you've got a really nice line there now. Okay, I'm going to have a bit of a line here. It does look like I was out in the swimming pool. That was a fun night. I hope that what I'm talking kind of makes some sense, that I'm using the black as a contrast against the white. I'm using it to create shadow, but mostly I'm using it to create contrast, because by not having white all the way round, it's really helping the piece become popping out more and being more 3D, I suppose. And I've done the same with all of them. I've gone in with a little bit of black, and then I've got water on it, and then I've gone in with the turquoise that I've got to just blend it out, so that, and I might need to keep doing that in several layers. That I need to step back, see if it's enough. I'll use my blending tool to help blend it in with the rest. Okay. You can do with one of these sponges half the size again. When I've tried to do it on paper, and I've really wanted a small one, it's quite tricky. Okay. Hi Dina, how you doing? This has come quite a long way since the beginning of this live. So I've been talking a lot about composition and contrast. This bit totally needs cleaning up here. So I need to And what we've been doing is getting this outside darker so that the moon really stands out. Hi Rima, thank you for joining. I'm not going to do dark all the way around as we talked about earlier because that would look wrong too. So I need to introduce some white to gradually blend into the dark. And we've kind of decided quite early on that the light's at the top here and the dark's underneath. So I'm not going to obliterate all of these drips because I like them. Okay. I'm obviously going to have to spend some time tidying up the circle, but hopefully with this kind of hazy look going on, because I shall use some of that white fluid once this is dry around there, so you won't have that harsh white line that you've got at the moment. One of the other lovely things that this tool makes is by dabbing it into two colours, is that you can make these really cool patterns just by twisting it, look. Which kind of look like the stars and the sky. And you don't have to mix two colours, but I quite like the contrast it gives. At this point I might go in with, again, some contrast colours and just use my finger. Just touches of. I don't want to go mad because I don't want to take away from the main picture, but I do want to pull it all in together. It works quite well. Oh, excuse me. Right, let's use some of that fluid. White again. Let's see if we can clean this bit up a bit. Just pouring the tiniest bit out onto my palette. I'm going in with a finger. So although we've made this the lighter background, I want this bit of the moon to be the lightest, so it's contrasting it as even brighter. So put quite a bit on, so now I'm just adding water. I want to get rid of that line really, so I sort of talked earlier about this sort of non-exact line for the edge. It's just going to be sort of misty, quite like that. I need that down here as well. So now the colours on her have started to dry. I could go over with this fluid white, and it won't lose the colours underneath once I water it down. It's not quite dry, that fluid, blue fluid, so I have to wait a bit longer for that. Quite like it looking like she's cloudy. It's almost a mistake to try to get a sort of perfect line unless you've got a perfect round shape to draw around, because I just think it's your eye will be drawn to it if it's just slightly out, so just don't try to make it perfect in the first place, and then its haziness is going to do just fine. I'm going to bring some more hazy up here. So I think it needs something dark here. So let's do a bit here. See you later, Kerry. Have a good day. Not sure about those drips there. I think it needs something, but not necessarily drips all the way. Look at that swooshy and that red end, look quite nice. Yeah. So I need to take some time to step back and see what needs finishing and so on. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope I have given you some useful instruction for having a go yourself. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'm sure you will see pictures later of the finished picture, but it's come on quite a long way since we started this morning. I'm quite pleased with that. Thank you very much. Until the next time, I'll see you again.